Hello, everyone. My name is Dr. Manta Makume, and welcome to the Zembrin Podcast in collaboration with Solid Gold Studios. I have with me today Miss Shingirai Katsinde. Thank you so much for joining us. This is really an exciting time. Welcome.
Thank you, Dr. Manta. Thank you for having me.
Yes. Um, and I'm so glad that I have you here as the technical manager for Zembrin because I'd like for us to go into a deeper dive into the production of Zembrin. So we're now going in the back end to work out how this product is manufactured, how it's regulated, and of course all the nitty-gritties and potential challenges that come with developing a nutraceutical such as Zembrin. So I'll start first with just going into the product development journey. From previous podcasts, especially that I have with that I had with Dr. Rolf, we talked about several cultivars of Sceletium.
Yeah.
How important was it, or is it still, to identify and develop the correct cultivar?
It is extremely important. The cultivar is what determines the ultimate therapeutic effect. So with Sceletium, there's about 8 to 9 species. Of those species, there's about 2 which are active, which have therapeutic effects or have bioactive compounds. But even with just those 2, the ratios of the bioactive compounds differs tremendously. It differs due to your cultivation practices, your harvesting practices. And so it was extremely important that we identify the cultivar of Sceletium that we needed for us to be able to produce a product with a calming, mood altering in a positive way, just like what Zembrin does.
Great. So for me, how I think of it is there's it's like wine, right?
Yeah.
And the growing of the grapes, depending on the conditions, will produce a different thing or a
Definitely.
different product. So, and that's where the concept of standardization comes in, I
Yes.
would assume.
Yes.
What were the challenges in terms of standardizing this? Because conditions change,
Yeah.
right? We have global warming. What processes, what were the challenges when you had to go find the exact cultivar to use?
So to start with, it was propagating to get the actual seed material because Zembrin is developed from Sceletium plants. Sceletium is native to South Africa. And because of the different species, the team back then needed to propagate from this identified cultivar. So the challenge there was the actual propagation. How do you propagate from wild and ensure that you have seed material that is the consistent profile that you need? So the late Dion Hofmeyer, who was working with the product that time with the plant, is the one who went into the research as to how to propagate properly. And it took a few years to get it right,
Yeah.
because the plant is quite sensitive to irrigation practices, to the soil, to treatment, to harvesting. So they had to go through extensive research into propagation of Sceletium because this was a new product. This was a new project to that they were working with. So the propagation of the seed material, which we ultimately now use to propagate the plant, was one of the biggest challenges. The second challenge was actually around the actual standardization,
Mm.
because the plant, when it grows, there is going to be variable alkaloid content. And when it grows in the wild, it's different from controlled
Controlled
cultivation.
cultivation.
Yes,
Yeah.
so you have a field, a big field, 2-3 hectares or whatsoever of plant. You have to control contaminants, you have to control pesticides, pests, you have to control disease, but you also want to maintain the GMO aspect. So you do not want to expose your plant to a lot of chemicals. So whilst you're trying to achieve a good chemical profile or at least a consistent chemical profile, you also want to then standardize at the end of the day. So the standardization process, it took us going as far as Europe to get a manufacturer was able to standardize because the content of the alkaloid would differ from batch to batch in the plant material.
So you also come in at the end where the product has to be the same, similar quality before it actually goes out into the market.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
And that also brings me to the product quality end, right? Consistency is important.
Yes.
Because you need to be able to put a stamp for the customers to say, this is what we have and we stand behind it. When it comes to the customers, I find we becoming very much in charge of what we put into our bodies. And Zembrin is a natural product. Do you find that there's a level of consumers thinking because it's a natural product, then therefore it is safe, forgetting that there's a lot that goes in between natural and safety?
Yes, definitely. The misconception is still there, unfortunately. The misconception that it's a plant, it's natural, so it is safe. We have noted over the years that the regulations around safety have become more stringent, and rightfully so, because you have so many agrochemicals that are being used on these plants. And what actually happens is if you spray, for instance, a pesticide on a Sceletium plant, and then you go through the extraction process, you're concentrating those chemicals.
The chemicals that were sprayed initially.
Yes.
So it's important that the agrochemicals, that would be the pesticides,
Yes.
is that what I'm getting? That it has to be exact.
We actually do not recommend using agrochemicals.
Oh, wow.
So we do not spray. We use natural methods to control weeds, to control pests, to control fungi. That is why the cultural practices are extremely important, because we do not want to expose our product to chemicals that we know
Contaminants.
yes, that will show up in the extract. So our consumers are very aware of these. There's growing understanding of the impact of chemicals, for instance. So we have tried as a company to ensure that we do not intentionally expose the plant, therefore not intentionally expose the consumer to unwanted chemical contaminants in our product.
All right. So Zembrin comes from Sceletium tortuosum plant. And there's several species of that Sceletium tortuosum plant.
Yes.
So it's important for our customers and consumers out there to realize that they can't just drive down to the Cape and pick up a plant and start eating it. And there's a specific one
Yes.
in specific quantities,
Yes.
which you have now taken and propagated from one particular seed to make sure that all the ingredients are the same.
Yes.
Now, when we're now moving to the regulatory space. Historically, the pharmaceutical industry has been the one that has been super regulated.
Yeah.
Now we have a nutraceutical that is coming onto the market. What challenges have you come across in terms of having the products worldwide? I mean, you are in Germany, you're in the US, you're in the UK, and now also, of course, South Africa, because it is our plant.
Yes.
South Africa. What challenges are there in terms of going out into the external market?
The nutraceutical space is not the same in every country or every region.
Yes.
So, for instance, if we are here back home in South Africa, it would be classified as a complementary medicine. In the US, it is a food or a food ingredient. In the UK or Europe, where we are now working on our novel food dossier, it's a novel food. So different regions regulate differently. And what we have now done as a company, or what we have done consistently throughout the years, is to ensure that we comply with the stringent market.
The most stringent market.
Yes, the most stringent regulation.
And actually, that will benefit the users.
Yes.
Because if you hit the most stringent, then you know there are safety parameters that have been put in place.
100%.
All right.
100%.
So which market is the most stringent?
Europe. Of course,
Yeah,
Europe. Of
yeah.
course, it's Europe. We are now working, we are looking at our registration maybe in the next 1 to 2 years from Europe. So we have submitted our novel food dossier. But that is the most stringent of the markets. But in terms of safety and in terms of data, we have been complying. We have toxicology data, we have clinical trials, we have quality data, and our specifications actually attest to that. So one of the main reasons why our product has been accepted globally is because we have specifications that we have been compliant with throughout the years.
Throughout the year.
Yes.
And that's the fascinating thing about Zembrin as well. It may be a natural product, but you've put it through the ringer in terms of
Yes.
clinical trials.
Definitely.
And that for me is a one big thing, because it's important if I'm going to ingest
Yes.
something or even recommend it to my loved ones, to know that this particular product is absolutely safe and you've applied all these scientific principles onto the product.
Yes.
Great. When working with botanicals, and we've touched a little bit on standardization, how do you ensure consistency from batch to batch? We've covered clinical trials, we've covered standardization, but now there's annual batches,
Yes.
just like the wine industry.
Yeah.
Annual batches. How then do you ensure that same quality when it comes from batch to batch? Same consistency.
Yeah. Okay. So we have stringent practices and we have stringent protocols and guidelines in place. So to begin with, because we are working with a farm, so we're working with a farm in Limpopo, actually, and we're trying now to expand into Mpumalanga. But we have stringent cultivation practices in place to ensure that our chemical profile or the fingerprint of the plant does not change. So now what will vary is the content, the final content. That's why we then move to standardization.
Okay.
But our cultivation practices are strictly controlled. You know, we control everything from irrigation, when we irrigate, we track weather patterns, you know, when to know how to harvest, when to harvest. We control anything that goes into the plant. We check it as much as physically and humanly possible.
Yes.
Yes. And we also have specifications even for the plant material. So if our plant material does not meet specification at that stage, we actually do not use it for production.
Move on to the
Yes.
next thing.
We have very strict quality processes in place just to ensure that whatever we have or we put at the end for the consumer to take is consistent from batch to batch.
All right. And then which brings me to the traceability, because I mean every batch is strictly controlled.
That's correct.
Which then you tag on a traceability, like you are able to trace where your product is going, and if there's a problem then you can trace it back.
Yes.
Why is it becoming that important, especially in the wellness industry?
Well, there is a lot of, unfortunately, adulteration that goes on from pharmaceutical, nutraceutical, even food. And the wellness industry, since COVID, has gained traction. So consumers want natural, they want safe. And so there has been a big mindset shift from pharmaceuticals to nutraceuticals because, you know, the world went through a crisis, you know, 2020, 2021 with COVID. And so because of that, there's been a lot of manufacturers, a lot of companies who have tried to uh, enter the space and sell products that do not have data that backs
That backs it, yeah.
that those products. So with HG&H, what we have ensured to do is to trace the product from seed to plant. We have batch numbers with all our products. We have certificates of analysis, so we can we can issue confidently
Mm.
because we send our products for testing. There are batch numbers that associate with our product. Every time it goes out to a customer, there is a certificate of analysis that accompanies the product.
I like that. So you guys have a certificate of analysis, and that is really how the pharmaceutical industry has been working.
Yes, yes.
So I would feel that HG&H is really pushing the innovation boundaries, right? In
Yes.
terms of this is how, just because it's a nutraceutical or botanical, doesn't exempt you from applying the strictest quality standards.
Yes, that's
Which that thoroughly impresses me. And I'm excited about that because I can now confidently say, I will take this particular natural product or even prescribe it or recommend it to my loved ones.
definitely.
Yeah. Okay. Um, and I've just spoken now about how HE&H is advancing, is pushing the boundary of accountability in terms of production.
Yeah.
Do you feel that the wellness industry is increasingly going there, or are they still lagging behind what HG&H is doing?
No, they're definitely trying now to improve on standards. I mean, if I take us back just a little bit, so HG&H is the first company in South Africa to have a bioprospecting permit. What that means is we can confidently cultivate and sell Sceletium, right? We have a benefit sharing agreement with the Sun Council. We pay royalties to the Sun Council, to the Sun communities. And if you look with where our government is taking us, our government is imposing accountability to companies who use traditional knowledge. That is where HG&H started. And a lot of companies we have now noted in the botanical space or the complementary medicine space are also now following suit.
Following. So you guys are the trailblazers.
We are the
Well
trailblazers.
done. Congratulations.
We are definitely trailblazers in South Africa,
Yeah.
definitely in the world. I mean, we've been held at the Nagoya, one of the Nagoya conventions, just for our accountability in the botanical space or traditional knowledge space. Yeah.
No, I really, I commend HG and H for that. And that also leads me to innovation. You know, in as much as you trailblazers, you also have to be innovative.
Definitely.
But in your innovation, there also comes compliance.
Yes.
So as a pharmacist yourself, and you talk about certificate of analysis, you're taking me back. You're taking me back a few lifetimes in terms of having a certificate of analysis and the amount of work
Yeah.
that actually goes into creating a COA.
Yes.
I just wanted to just in case it becomes confusing for the consumers, there's the Sceletium tortoisum plant that was propagated, found by Dr. Hofmeyer.
Dr. Gericke, Nigel Gericke.
Nigel Gericke, yes. And developed by Dr. Hofmeyer in terms of standardization.
In terms of harvesting, cultivation and harvesting.
Okay.
Yes.
Great. I understand that now. Then what we have is a product called Zembrin. It's a powder form that I've seen on videos for those who are interested. There is a link into the development of this particular Zembrin product. Now, the Zembrin, as you mentioned in Europe, it's whole foods, which now leads me to Zembrin is a powder, but it can be applied to various formulations.
Yes.
Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Of course. So with Zembrin, you can essentially add it to different formulations: capsules, tablets, beverages, gummies, chewables. So there are different applications depending on how you want to formulate. So here in South Africa, we have capsules for sale, we have shots, we also have beverage products that are being sold on the market.
You mentioned earlier that the European market considers Zembrin as a novel food.
Yes.
Which then leads me to the next question about the versatility of this particular product. during my research and in preparation to be talking to you and Dr. Rolf, I came across that there's a ton of ways to ingest this particular product.
Indeed.
And I went ahead and I found myself Serenity, my current favorite go-to product, especially in the morning when I have a long day. Serenity is made from Zembrin. It is a capsule that you can take once daily. And the safety profile, I've also read it, and it is also in the package insert.
Yeah.
What other formulations do you have? And where can we find these formulations?
So it can be formulated into beverages. It can be formulated into shots, like the one that you have in front of you. It's a liquid shot, 25 milligrams. It can be formulated into capsules, tablets, and powders. There are even powders that are formulated where you can just take a scoop of powder, put it in your water, and you quickly
drink.
You quickly drink. Yes.
So Zembrin is actually quite versatile in how you can apply it and how you can ingest it.
Yes, definitely.
And I'm looking forward to the various applications of this particular product because it has a wide range.
Yes.
In terms of how it can serve the consumers.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Great. Where to from here? What excites you most about the future of Zembrin?
It's the growth in the wellness space. So, as a company, we are looking for ways to improve. We're always looking for ways to improve. And for instance, I like the application question that you just asked, because whilst you can put it in a beverage, we are also now trying to expand and actually looking into a beverage specific formulation for Zembrin. So we have exciting times ahead of us where as a company, we're always trying to innovate, we're always trying to improve and ensuring that our product is out there and people know about it.
Yeah. If someone discovering Zembrin for the first time or they're listening, what would be, from today's conversation, what are the key takeaways that you would like for them to remember?
Zembrin is a unique product. It has a unique profile, which will give you that calm, that cognitive, that elevated mood impact. But it's safe to take. It's patented, it's clinically researched, and has a good profile in terms of the product applications. And what I would want people to know is that it is, because it is safe, is tolerable, and there's consistency in the quality of the product. So you're not going to wonder if there are any effects or untoward effects because the safety profile is quite good. So good product to take, quality, safe, and reliable as well.
And that is important for me if I'm actually even going to suggest it to my loved ones. I need to know that stamp, the consistency, the standardization, the clinical trials that have been done. And I look forward to more conversations regarding Zembrin and what it can actually do. Thank you so much for your time. And thank you, everyone. For those who might want these products. Oh, I also actually have Elevate.
Yeah.
So what we have would be the tablets
Yeah.
that come, is it 100 milligram?
It's a 25 milligram.
25 milligram, I can see that. And is it applicable for adults and children, or children from 12 years old?
Yes, it is.
So we can safely apply it for those, especially for the exams, the anxiety, stresses that accompany school life.
School life.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I really do appreciate it.
No, thank you so much, Dr. Manta, for having me.
Thank you. Thank you so much. To everyone else, thank you so much for tuning in. We're looking forward to more conversations about the applicability of our product, Zembrin, and see you next time. Thank you.
Thank you.